welcome back to another video. Today I'm just going to be essentially doing a live commentary, just explaining my build on my knight, because a lot of people have been asking me what is the build that I've just been using on the knight whenever I did post my previous video on everything you need to know. And might as well just do a video going over the stats and just doing some things that I do in order to do solo 5-star dungeon grinding. So first things first, I'm going to be talking about the stats. Here's my stats: 745.6k in physical damage, 3.5 mil HP, 305 attack speed, 108.3% in critical hit, 2852 in crit damage, and 12,169 light. These are going to be my current stat. This is unbuffed without like some of the buff in the star chart. It's more specifically the buff from the ones you do defeat this under Uplands boss. And if I actually have that buff active, my physical damage goes to like 780 or 790. Those are usually around the stats that I have. We'll be just talking about my equipment: attack speed, movement speed, all pieces of gear like always. Attack speed, because knight is all about basic attack. Movement speed, I always rock movement speed. That's just going to be my build. It's exactly the same thing that I've always used in the past. One of the reasons why I hesitated making this video, it was because I've already have this video right here. It's pretty much the exact same build: attack speed, movement speed. I do have physical damage on my face for more damage, magic final weapon, maximum health on hat. I generally don't need the magic find or maximum health, but might as well just have them. But the only thing that I wanted is the physical damage on my face. Permatorch as my banner, overcharged crystal level 4 ring with magic find is exactly the same build that I was rocking in the past. And Scorpius as my ally, because it's the strongest physical damage ally in the game, especially if you want the movement speed and damage. My food is empty rune. The reason I'm using the empty rune is mainly because of the effect. Breaks when completing a dungeon, granting some rune fragments. I've been grinding some rune fragments in the background while I was just grinding Uber 12, so I can just complete the Rune Anvil. So this is just the main reason why I have this. But if I wanted the most damage output, I will just be using the repel rune. With repel rune, my light goes to 12,388, almost 12.4k light, which is quite strong with the repel rune. I will probably just have this over the fishing food, because the fishing food has 50 less light. It gives you more damage and more critical damage, but the damage output is roughly the same, and the repel rune is much easier to craft and maintain than the fishing food. I can have both of them, but I'd much rather just have the repel rune over the fishing food. I have been using the Martial and Beamer emblem as my emblem combination. Martial, you always want to have your damage emblem no matter which character that you're using if you're planning to grind Uber 12. And the Beamer emblem because of extra burst damage. Every single time that you use a Flask, you're going to spawn this little minion. It has only a 1-second cooldown, and that minion does 6 times damage multiplier per beam. So it is going to be quite effective for this character in particular, where this character lacks a little bit in DPS and burst damage output. So this one will help out greatly. Conjurer's Crucible Bile, I'm using Flask literally all the time. You're going to see that Flask is very important, and since you're doing 5-star dungeon, or especially me, I'm doing 5-star dungeon with high magic find, it means that I can just recover quite a bit of Flask every single time that I complete one of the dungeons, allowing me to go a little bit more aggressive into the 5-star dungeons. The last one is going to be the Phoenix Fire Solarian subclass, light and also burst damage capabilities. If you want to know how the Solarian subclass works, what it does is when you attack, you actually have a little explosion that you do see right here, and it applies the damage over time to the enemy that you attack with it, and all of the enemies that got affected by the AoE of the subclass explosion. In other words, it's going to be more light and more burst DPS. It's really effective. It's the highest DPS subclass in the game. And yeah, that's my current equipment that I've been rocking. Not too much in terms of explanation. My gems is pretty much exactly the same as the previous video that I've done in the past. It's a 5499 build. I've already explained in the past that you generally don't need to go into a very specific build, because the damage increase that you do get really low percentage that you're barely going to even notice any difference. So don't waste too much time in just going into the highest coefficient. Just go into a safe build and save those resources for something else. Either way, it's the same equipment, 5499, they're exactly the same. The only difference that I did have is going to be now that I'm rocking Berserk Battler instead of my Vampire Vanquisher. And that's my current equipment that I've been rocking thus far. I'm just going to be mentioning this, that 12,000 light makes a huge difference versus like 11.5 or 11,000 light in Uber 12. So if you don't have 12,000 light and you can get to 12,000 light with Berserk Battler, get Berserk Battler and try to get yourself to 12,000 light. The other thing that I will be mentioning is going to be in regards to your damaging emblem. So your damaging emblem will make or break in terms of like kill time. 250% total damage is incredible. incredibly huge. Always make sure to have your damaging emblem active. And in order for you to actually do that is to have your cornerstone near a 5-star dungeon. Every single time that I find a 5-star dungeon, instead of just immediately just going over it, I look for cornerstones and near the 5-star dungeon and just activate it and just immediately just start doing the 5-star dungeon. The reason being is because it allows me to just go really aggressively with Flask, and it allows me to just kill enemies really quickly. So let me just give you some little example of what I've been doing with the 5-star dungeon solo grind. First of all, I will be just going over Cursed Skulls. So Cursed Skull is like, I try to just maintain Flask every 2 to 3 waves. So every single time that I have the opportunity to use a Flask, I will just use a Flask immediately. So I just always just spam Flask. Just keep watch on my hotbar. You're going to see that I've already used like 4 Flasks, and this one is going to be number 5. And the reason is going to be that you want to kill them as fast as possible. And again, if I have high magicifying, that means that I can just recover 1 or 2 more Flasks. Cursed Skull is usually the one that takes the longest, especially for the night, because there is a lot of ranged enemies, and ranged enemies is not the greatest matchup for this character because it does have the shortest range basic attack in the game, but it does have high enough damage that you can just kill enemies quite quickly. But yeah, you can actually just see that I'm just using Flask all the time. This is extremely important if you want to kill all types of enemies. It is really valuable to just always activate your Flask. I cannot stress this enough. That's the reason why I've been killing this like pretty fast in Uber 12 is just that. And if you ran out of Flask, again, if you plop down the cornerstone, you can just go back and just reclaim their Flask once again. Yeah, that's just essentially what I've been doing with this character. It's just essentially going ahead and just using as many Flasks as possible just to kill all types of enemies, including bosses. Oh, and this boss right here. So this boss is going to be like really big problem. Probably might end up even doing like a shorter video just going over this enemy, because this enemy is quite annoying to deal with. And there you go, there's the whole 5-star dungeon completion. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. It usually takes me 2 to 3 minutes to complete on average, and I'm able to just get the 5-star dungeon, just complete and move on to the next one. But yeah, all climbs, the boss is going to be very annoying to deal with. You're going to die quite a bit against it, and that is another reason why you should have cornerstone, because if you die against all climbs, you can just go ahead and go back from the cornerstone and just kill it once again. Now, I will be going over my Rune Anvil in a little bit, and the reason why I've been just using the empty rune instead of the repel rune is because of the Sapphire Breaker. Sapphire Breaker, what it does is when the rune breaks, you're going to get a random essence. So every single time a rune breaks, you're going to get 1 of 3 of the random essences. So the essences are going to be really important if you want to increase the rune crafting profession. You're going to see like right there, I got 1 abyssal essence and then 3 rune fragments. The 3 rune fragments was because of the empty rune, and the abyssal essence was just because of the Sapphire Breaker. And that effect is going to be really helpful, because not only do you need them a lot for the rune crafting bench, you also need them for the new dragons, and you need quite a bit of them. I believe it's 15 or 25, don't quote me on it. Yeah, it's a lot of essence that you will need, and you also need essence to increase the Rune Anvil in general. But you can actually just see the knight is not necessarily insanely powerful. It's not bad either. Some people have been asking like how good is the knight, or if the knight is the best character for this. It is not. I just use it again because I've been maining this character for so many years. This character is still pretty strong for Uber 12 combat. The reason being is that you want good, consistent burst damage. The enemies are not necessarily insanely strong in terms of like how much HP they have, but they also don't die one shot. So you want a character that can dish out pretty good burst damage rather than a character that has really high DPS. Obviously, a character with high DPS like Boomeranger Solarium will do wonders inside Uber 12. By the way, I keep calling Uber 12. It's difficulty 15, but you get what I mean. This is going to be true on any single character. Go with the highest burst that you can get with the character. Don't go with the highest DPS unless your stats are really low. Characters like the Boomeranger, Solarian, and all of that will benefit greatly more if you use burst towards their advantage. So Solarian, you would work better if you sell as Emblems, so you can maintain ultimate ability and more explosion. Cooldown reduction for the Boomeranger, so you can throw down more ults and more big bombs. A lot of people prefer to use Cyclone over overstuff earned on the Boomeranger in terms of hidden effects, and that's just mainly because the overstuff earned is going to be better in terms of like full DPS, but the Cyclone is going to be better in terms of utility and helps out with the burst more often because it pulls all enemies and it allows you to kill all enemies much more consistently. Always try to go with the best burst that the character can provide. Do not go with speed farming equipment. So if you're using Shadow Hunter, for example, also use cooldown reduction. Try to use your ultimate ability as much as possible, and also try to use your Seekers as much as possible. And Knight doesn't have like really good effective other abilities outside of basic attacks, so use Beamer Emblem over anything else. Beamer Emblem will just help out with the more burst damage, and that's just essentially what you want. Burst. That's Uber 12 in a nutshell. You want burst capabilities. You don't want the highest DPS that you can muster. You don't want to just build up a bunch of damage, because otherwise your kill time is going to be slower. Try to just dish out the highest potential damage in the shortest amount of time possible, and that's how you complete Uber 12. And that's just essentially going to be the whole thing with Uber 12, my Knight equipment and all of that. You know, it's been quite a big grind for everything related to like Uber 12 combat, and grinding 5-star dungeon like crazy, grinding the new delves for the rune fragments so I can get the notes. I might do another video regarding the notes and some of the other things that you want to go for immediately if you are planning to just grind up for Mystic Gear, which is practically almost no one. As far as I know, a lot of people are just demotivated for Mystic Gear, and I don't blame them. If you haven't seen that video, check that video out. The Mystic Gear is no joke. It's a stupid grind, and I will not recommend anyone to go for, because it is not that much stronger than Crystal level 5. But that's going to be everything for me. If you want to see more live commentary like this one, like similar to old school 2019 2020 commentary, so let me know in the comment section down below, and I might do more videos like this because they're easier to produce. It's just sitting down, record, and just talk nonsense, rather than the other like scripted commentary where I had to write down the script, grab the footage, do research and all of that, testing if needed. And with this, I just talk about my experiences with the character, and what are going to be some of my opinions. But yeah, thank you everyone for dropping by. Thank you for sticking around as always. Leave a like, sub for more content like this. Thank you for 5.4k. Who knows, I might do a surprise character or some other things. Also, I haven't forgotten about the 0 to 30,000 power rank. I'm still wondering what should I even do with that series. Should I even go for the 6th part that I originally intended, or like a full 40+ minute video just going over everything from beginning to end? It's going to be exactly the same thing, but instead of just being 6 separate videos, it's just one big video. I recorded all 6 parts, but the only thing is just the editing and the audio and all of that. Yeah, that's going to be everything for me. Thank you once again for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Take care, keep on hunting, and farewell.